afternoon and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge, and as luck of the Irish would have it, our guest this afternoon is Chmura-Moore of Manitowoc Symphony Orchestra. Dylan, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. You know, I'm half Welsh, so can I claim St. Patrick's Day as well? It's right there. I'm right there. I'm just across the little bay. I feel like I must have some Irish in me.
I'm certainly not the right person to throw down the gauntlet on that, but...
Well, you're wearing green, so maybe you're more Irish than I.
Yeah, I am a bit Irish. Both of my great-grandmas were Irish, so I've got this little creepy guy that comes out every St. Patrick's Day.
It is super creepy.
Yeah, oh my gosh. He's super. He's like a real vintage little leprechaun, and like if this is what they really look like, it's terrifying.
I think that it could be a comic strip. I feel like there's a new streaming service feature that's going to come out soon from Coolest Coast. Leprechaun on the Shore or something along those lines.
Just for St. Patrick's Day. So anyway, whether you're Welsh or Irish, you have come to Coffee on the Coast. We're glad to see you, Dylan. We're glad to see you, viewers. And talking about St. Patrick's Day, the Symphony is doing something a little special collaboration with the Yacht Club. Can you tell us about that?
So I love our orchestra because it doesn't just stay in the concert hall. We are out all over the community playing at bars or playing at the Yacht Club this Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. Now, this is a members-only event, I must say, but maybe you want to become a member, or maybe you know someone who is a member and you can just go with them and convince them to go. But they're having a wonderful St. Patrick's Day dinner. Maybe you don't already have something on your plans. You know what? If you just lied and said you're with the symphony, I bet you could get in, with wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We got live music playing from 5 to 8 p.m. We're selling concert tickets while we're there. We're promoting the show that's coming up on April 15th. And the music is going to be this great jazz combo who maybe you've heard us at Fourth on the Shore. They've played for us twice there, or it's some of our educational endeavors we've done at the library downtown Manitowoc. We've had this and some of the folk from the combo play with us there. So they have been all over town with us, preaching the good word.
Awesome. We are so fortunate to have so many talented musicians, living and performing right now in real time here on the Coolest Coast. Friday being no exception, St. Patrick's Day celebrating with a jazz quartet. How awesome. And it's only one of many things that are coming up. I've heard too that there's a Manitowoc Symphony Orchestra Spring Bash. That's going to be a lot of fun.
So I think we've gained this this perception that we are an orchestra. We throw really great parties. I feel like that's more our reputation now these days. So we just have really great parties, and maybe we make some music too. I'm not sure if we need to fix that or not, but I love a good party for sure. And so, yes, we have our Spring Bash coming up. We've got a really great party band performing called the Dweebs, and they make music and have a good time just like their name suggests. You guys should all just go on and Google them. They've got a great website where you can see some of their performances and dresses that are dweebish, I guess, to say the least. And so if you like to have a good time, check out our Spring Bash. We will be throwing down for sure with the Dweebs.
And it's a great way to support the mission of the Manitowoc Symphony Orchestra.
I probably should say that too.
Yeah, Manitowoc is one of the smallest cities in our nation to have a symphony orchestra, right? And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people support it. People come and hear it. People financially support it. People volunteer. Whatever it takes a village. And so the Spring Bash is a great way to hang out, enjoy the awesome parties that the MSO throws down while being really well entertained and supporting the Manitowoc Symphony Orchestra. So the Dweebs, they're doing covers of like 60s, 70s, 80s. I'm not sure if it's 90s and today, how far that goes, but it's going to be some great music, good times, and you'll be supporting a great cause.
Please come out and support the symphony. You said it better than I. Thank you.
I had the talking points right at hand, so thanks for sharing those.
I just have my coffee. You don't have your coffee. This is my coffee. I needed to have this a couple hours ago.
But it's almost empty. I've been sipping on it all afternoon. Anyway, so we've talked about the Yacht Rock that's coming up for St. Patrick's Day. There's this awesome Spring Bash, which I should mention is May 13th. It's going to be at the venue. Get your tickets. Now, talking about tickets, talking about the symphony. Dylan, you have an awesome romantic era pops performance planned. And I see on the details it says romantic, not romantic. So where should we begin? Should we, you know what? Should we set the stage and listen to this little piece of the Grieg concerto?
Bring in the piano.
Okay. All right, you guys. I just love this little clip. I'll play it and then you'll see why. Here we go. Oh, how good is that? And that's going to be on the Capitol Civic Center stage on April 15th by a internationally acclaimed, do I get that right, Dylan? Is it internationally acclaimed pianist?
He is. He's lived and worked and made music all over the world. He is a fantastic soul, talented soul, compassionate soul, fantastic interpretation that he will bring to this town. He's played at Carnegie Hall, you name it, and now he will be playing on our stage, on our piano, for us. How lucky are we? If any of you are on social media, if you're watching this, I bet you are, go over to our page, the Manitowoc Symphony Orchestra page, Instagram or Facebook, and I've got a reel of Ellie playing that lick, and I guess just a regular post of him playing that lick in practice section that he let me bomb to get you. If you want something on repeat, if you want to take that and turn it into your phone's ringtone, by all means, you can get it there.
Oh, I need some tech help on how to do that, but that is a great idea for a ringtone.
You will scare people, I think, as well. But it's good.
So the pianist is Ellie Kallman. He is world acclaimed, internationally acclaimed, right? And
he's a good friend. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Nice. I thought you were going to contradict what I was saying.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Let's figure this out. I'm not sure. No, he absolutely is. He absolutely is. He's Romanian of birth and had a life out there in Eastern Europe, and then spent another couple decades, I think it's a couple of decades in Israel, touring and playing and making music with some of the best in the world. And then he's been over here in the States for, 15 years, maybe 2 decades, maybe max, but playing around the country from New York to California, absolutely all over the place with some of the greatest artists, and we are lucky to have him.
Yeah, and I read that he is renowned for his exceptional technique and vibrant music making.
He is. So you have to have some good fingers in order to play the Grieg. Let's just say that. But I think one can play it and you replay all the notes on the page, but you don't get the soul that is, implicit in Grieg's very virtuosic piano concerto. People think about virtuosity in the sense of, just having really fast fingers, nimble fingers, great dexterity in your fingers. But the Grieg, I think, is a lot more than that. It is music that I think is about the people. It's he is a hero. Literally, there's statues erected of him because he's meant so much to his people. He has a statue in his home country of Bach or Beethoven or anything like that. And he made this music, this concerto in particular, that is not just great music, but it's folk music. And so it was music that he grew up singing from an oral tradition from his grandparents and his cousins, and you'd be on your back porch on a porch swing or whatever, and you're singing these tunes. And Grieg took these tunes and turned them into this internationally acclaimed, one of the most memorable and fantastic concertos ever written. And so he's erected this house for us where we all feel welcome because it's folk music, but it is, it's the Sistine Chapel at the same time. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do, and using his native sounds, his native music, in order to tell the tale of heroism, of freedom, of creativity, fighting back the perhaps invading Russian troops, literally that he was aware of growing up. And now from his native Norway, everywhere you go, you see Grieg because he's met so much of these people, and so we need to think about Grieg's concerto, not just in its virtuosity with fingers, but with this connection to the people, to our romantic selves, to our soul, vibrant and living and breathing and bleeding. And Ellie does this unbelievably.
Oh, it sounds amazing. And so did I understand you correctly? Did you say that this is like one of the most highly regarded concertos of all time?
I think so. So last year we played Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue.
Oh, which was
Everyone knows Gershwin's
amazing.
Rhapsody in Blue. It's absolutely, and one of the reasons why we know it is because it was on whatever airline commercials, and some Fantasia and other things like that. Of course, like it's a little bit more, and it's American, and it's a little bit more in our consciousness, I suppose. But maybe there's a couple other concertos that are equal or better, you could argue, than that Rhapsody in Blue, or at least in the same playing field as far as I don't know, the how it takes you on a journey, makes you cry, makes you dance, all the things that Rhapsody in Blue does so well. Well, the Grieg does that too. The Grieg is another one. The Tchaikovsky Concerto is another one. Some people can consider there's a Beethoven Concerto that's in there as well. But I mean, this is maybe one of the top 3 of all time, I think, right up there with Rhapsody in Blue, as far as people just loving it, and I love it too, and Ellie does too.
So I read that this description, I think from your notes, that the Grieg Piano Concerto was described as all rippling streams, blue skies, sunshine, and cool green shadows.
No.
No, okay.
I think I wrote that.
Because I was thinking that sounds so good after this winter.
But it's talking about another piece on the program, and that is Brahms's Second Symphony. Unless I don't know, unless I wrote something weird or I'm misremembering or something like that. But Brahms wrote his Second Symphony in the Alps, and it's all about nature and joy and being and appreciating the life that we live. Now, Grieg was also happy though when he wrote his concerto, and so you could think that exact same quote, because Grieg was just out of school. He was getting a name for himself. He was having some success. He just got married. He just had a child, and he'd just come back from holiday, and he writes this concerto. Like, everything's working for Grieg. He's in such a great place. It is his world, and we're living in it. And so, absolutely, that the ideas of spring, about but just pure joy and love and the fresh air and the change of season and the blooms of life. Grieg was absolutely living in that world at this time. Absolutely.
So what is it like for our musicians of the Manitowoc Symphony Orchestra, and what is it like for you as the musical director to take on such an incredible piece and to perform it with this internationally acclaimed performer, Ellie Kallman?
Well, for me, I always have the best seat in the house, of course, right? Either I'm right in amongst the players making music, and so I feel, I see their sweat on their brow, or I see the string pop on their bow, or what have you. So I'm right in it. And so for this concerto, I also get to be right in front of the piano. So every time Ellie breathes, I'll be breathing too. Every time he slams on the keys, he has a strong touch. Let's just say that. Sensitive, of course, but boy, does he have some power in those hands. Have you ever shaken like a grandfather's hands who's really worked with his hands all his life, and they're just pillowy and big and comfortable, and like you just sink into them, you know what I mean? I don't know, I've had that experience at least. And so I feel like when I shake Ellie's hands, it's like that. You kind of melt a little bit. You're like, oh, this is such a nice hand. He has such strength, and so I might be. So I made. I have a podium that does not have a back on it right now, and so I'm a little afraid about falling off. So when Ellie plays that first chord, bing, 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 I feel like that I hopefully I won't get jolted and fall into the first row. But if you were there, if you're listening and watching today and you're in the front row, please be ready to catch me.
So viewers, if the incentive to see this amazing Grieg piano concerto played by an internationally acclaimed pianist isn't enough to get you to buy tickets to come see the show on April 15th, get tickets so you can come and watch what happens to the musical director. Does he stay on his podium? Does he need help from the audience? No, it's going to be fantastic. And so Dylan, this is just one piece of the performance that you're planning. Tell us a little bit about Beethoven's Fidelio? What should people know?
So Beethoven, all roads lead to Beethoven. His style, his sound, the important history that he's given to us, inspiring generations and generations of music, in particular Brahms, but everyone who lived past Beethoven. I know there's pre-Beethoven, post-Beethoven world, I think, in a lot of ways. And so he wrote this opera, his only opera, called Fidelio. And it's about love, and it's about good over evil, and it's about an oppressive state and politics and how the good guys win at the end. And the main character is a heroine, I guess. Leonore is her name, and she disguises herself as a young man named Fidelio, and incognito, Leonore / Fidelio. They break into a prison in order to rescue her husband, who is being sentenced to death because of his political allegiances, which we support. We want. We don't like the people who put Florestan, her husband, into jail. And so there's this awesome scene where, like, she reveals her true identity. She pulls out a gun, and it's just like one of the most I was going to curse, one of the just most awesome moments in opera history, I think. You can imagine what a scene like this might look like. And so this is an opera that took him a decade and a half to write. He never got it right in the beginning. The first time he set it to stage just a few days earlier, Napoleon invaded Vienna, and so it was kind of like a flop because everyone is afraid because there's Napoleon has taken over Vienna. So he goes back, so it doesn't have success for all the reasons you can imagine. And Beethoven goes back and revises it and revises the story and revises the music, and 10 whatever years later, maybe 11 years, I think, is the exact number, comes back and he puts it forward with a new title, with a new kind of purpose. And this purpose was now, well, the people against Napoleon and his troops, and it's about that people can rise up, and we have a great voice, and we're beautiful, and hail middle class, all that kind of stuff, right? Down with the monarchy and all that kind of stuff. And so Beethoven has come to resemble that for us, right? Beethoven's music is performed when the Berlin Wall fell. Beethoven's music was performed at the end of World War II. Beethoven's music was played, after 9/11. Like, Beethoven is about freedom, in many ways. And this is, in some ways, the quintessential piece. This opera and its overture to it is kind of the quintessential piece of this representation of Beethoven as the idol, as the god of leading us towards liberation and independence and freedom of thought and good over evil, I guess if you could say. So it's a fantastic, I think, way to start the program. And it goes back to that funny quote, "Romantic, not romantic." It is, of course, is a love story. What Fidelio is, a love for home, love for your spouse, but it's also love for your brother, and so forth, and being situated in what we call the Romantic era, which is all about the individual, all about the imaginative, personal experience, spontaneous, emotional things. This visionary people, Beethoven is being one of them, and how we prize that emotion, almost above all else. So it's a great way to begin, and that leads us into the Grieg, where, well, your heart's going to be ripped open, and you're going to be throwing roses, hopefully, on the stage afterwards. If you guys all want to buy roses beforehand and throw petals and roses on the stage, we will welcome them. Just don't throw them at the string players.
Wow, it is so epic. And I didn't even realize that depth of Beethoven and what he represented. What an incredible concert this is going to be. And I have to say, but wait, there's more, because you're also doing a piece by Brahms. Okay, what should we know about this?
So we are in this cycle I'm calling Our Sound, where we're looking back upon the history of the MSO and positioning ourselves so we can have another 75 years of great music making. As after the cycle is over, we will turn 75. And we are in year 2 of this cycle. Last year, we had some Beethoven, we had some Brahms, we had another concerto. some other similar things. And we played music from our first concert and from the renovation of the CCC in the 80s, the first one. And then this is year 2. We're now playing the second Brahms symphony. Last year we played the first one, some more Beethoven, and another concerto. And Brahms is a great, I think, individual for this. This mentality, I suppose, because he was one of the 3 Bs, right? Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms, a luminary figure who looms over all of music. But he was an interesting soul because he deeply honored tradition, specifically Beethoven and all that genius and stuff. But he created in a way that kind of was like a vessel for the future. So he allowed folk to compose more and be more creative, be more themselves. After he's kind of like a buffer between Beethoven and everyone else. And I think it has a lot to do with education. It has and I mean that in the most broad sense. It has a lot to do with just personal growth and the community involvement. And this is, I think, what Brahms does really well from us. It's about challenging the musicians with some very hard music technically, but also musically. It challenges them on how they communicate to one another, how they respond and communicate with me, and how I lead them all through that. And it's I don't know, it's kind of like team building. We're doing trust falls. Brahms is nothing but trust falls, and so no one sees great growth in themselves when they do the easiest thing. I'm sure there's a quote in there that I can't remember, but a famous quote about that. But you build grit, right, when you work hard and you fail and all these kinds of things. And so that's what Brahms is in a lot of ways, I think, for us, or I want it to be. And anyway, so a second symphony was written after the first. Of course, the first symphony has all this like angst because he was seen as the next Beethoven, and could he live up to this reality? And would is he a failure if he doesn't write another symphony, just as good as Beethoven did? And it took him a couple decades to do it, and just this is drama filled. And he writes his first symphony, and everyone proclaims it as Beethoven's 10th. He only wrote 9. And so you can't get much better praise than that. And so Brahms is feeling good. And even though the last symphony took him a couple of decades really to write, this symphony comes out in months, a little under a year. And he goes to the Alps on holiday, as I was mentioning, and he writes this symphony with not in a bad way yet, but melting icebergs, forming the ice cold streams of just that pure water, right, trickling down through the Alps. Great nature, space away from the world to think and to feel. And so this music is sunny. It's cheerful. It is happy. It is spring music, I think, in its most in the best way, I guess. We think about Brahms as tempestuous and despondent. I love those 2 words. But this is not that. This is not heavy. This is not downtrodden. This is optimistic and sunny, bucolic. Maybe is a better word for it. And it is going. And if spring isn't here by middle of April, it will be after this concert, I think, for sure. It is. There's movements of lovely lullabies and of dancing, and humor, and I think it fits really well with the whole theme of, I don't know, love and family and growth and people, and so I can't wait. I can't wait for this concert.
I love these conversations with you, Dylan, because you really bring these composers to life. You really take them, they're not just names in a history book or off the page, right? Like, you add so much flavor and excitement to them. And I love that insight. And okay, here's a quote that was noted. Tell me about this. It says that Brahms' Second Symphony has a finale that's considered to be one of the most rousing and brilliant in all of classical music. True?
I think so. So the way this works is, I think the best, the best explosions, monumentous moments come with like a slow build. You rev your engine. I don't know. You get a nice appetizer at a restaurant. You're at the 4th of July fireworks, and they just offer one, and then some silence, and then another one. And then over 15 minutes or whatever, finally they crescendo, they build slowly with intensity and layers and complexity until they have some big finale where everyone knows it's the finale and everyone cheers and claps. And God bless the USA kind of thing. And so this is what Brahms does. And the symphony is about 35 to 40 minutes, depending how slow I take the second movement. We'll see how I feel on concert night. And when we are in that ride, it all has kind of a direction in mind. We have some place we're going, and we don't know how we're going to get there yet, and when we're going to arrive. But we're excited for the journey. We know there's going to be McDonald's French fries at the end of our journey, and we can't wait. And it's one of those times where over the last, I don't know, 3 minutes or something like that. So actually a pretty long build. If you think about, most tunes on the radio are like 3 minutes these days. 3 minutes. So it's like one whole tune on the radio of just a slow build of joy and more 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 joy. And it becomes so overwhelming, and he does it so expertly. It's not until the final 4 seconds maybe of the piece of this 40-minute long work that you finally put that McDonald's French fry in your mouth after smelling it in line, and getting closer and closer in the drive-thru or whatever. Things just build, and the skies part in a lot of ways. And I don't know, I could be poetic and say truth is seen, or I don't know, you finally see heaven's gates or whatever. I don't know, but it is an arrival that rivals all that exists in music for sure.
Wow. This sounds like it is going to be epic. Like, you have prepared an amazing concert. Viewers, I really hope that you take advantage of this performance. Get your tickets. The show is on April 15th. It's at 7:30 p.m. at the Capitol Civic Center. Tickets are currently available. Dylan, I feel like we are so fortunate to have you as the musical director of the symphony. Thank you for the passion and the education and the knowledge and just brilliance that you bring to all of this. Please extend our thank you to all of the musicians too that work hard and share their talents on the stage. I cannot wait. I'm so looking forward to the show, and I hope everyone enjoys it as much as I expect we will based on this conversation.
Thank you. You're so amazing. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Dylan. I really appreciate you taking the time too out of your schedule to share this passion with us and to tell us more about this concert. Super looking forward to it. And I appreciate you joining us on Coffee on the Coast. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thanks.